Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. So happy to be with you. I want to first apologize. On Friday, we ran a show. I had my guest host, one of my producers. He did the show, used some very unsavory language. Not exactly sure how that didn't get caught. But if you happen to have gotten that hour of the show, we apologize. I apologize on behalf of the program directors who put a lot of faith in me and my team to put together a show that is, I call it PG-13. We're not going to be, such prudes that, I'm not a G-rated show per se. I don't think we say anything that's strictly super controversial. We have a little fun, tongue-in-cheek here and there. But what we did last Friday went above and beyond and never should have aired. And we are certainly making the changes necessary to make sure that never happens again. So my apologies. And the professional people that work at your station, they do their best to make sure that things like that don't occur. But occasionally we all make mistakes. So I'm not going to blame my team members or whatever. I fall on the sword for what happens on this program. And please do not blame your station, the station managers, the station owners, the program managers and directors. It was not their faults. Anyway, glad you guys are with me. I was in New York, and the reason I was there is twofold. One, I went to the Gold Glove Awards for the Major League Baseball. It's for all the best defensive players. And what an event. I love going to this event. A friend of mine, Ray Mira, is one of the people that puts the event on behalf of Spalding. And I have to tell you, first class, number one, event. My son loves it. He gets to meet all these, Major League Hall of Famers, Andre Dawson, Omar Vizquel. Our good friend Ozzie Smith was there again. Ozzie looks like he's getting younger every year. The guy looks like he can still play. I met the guys that do the analytics for baseball. Really interesting story there. And who else? Well, of course, Derek Jeter. He got the humanitarian. He got what's called the Hart Award because Derek does a lot of stuff outside of baseball that's really important. So they highlighted his charity and many others. I mean, it's just such a great group of folks. And of course, my buddy Joe Piscopo is the one who emceed it. So it was at that event. And then I went to the ZOA event, which is a big Jewish event. And here's what's so cool about this. The person who invited me to this event, which is put on by Sheldon Adelson, one of the most wealthy benefactors to the conservative movement out there. They wanted me there because they see how the Jewish community and the black community can work together and change politics, conservative politics, because many of the Hollywood Jews are secular. They don't care about their religion. They don't care about Israel. This group is conservative. They say to themselves, they have the same lament of blacks like me that say, what in the heck would we be voting Democrat for? We have nothing in common with them. So it was so cool to be among those types of folks. They honored people that I didn't know. So culturally, I was glad to meet those folks. And of course, there were people there that I did know, Joe Lieberman and many other political Jewish folks. And I'm not saying Lieberman considered himself a moderate. And I've met in fact, I was with Lieberman in Paris, 3 months ago? No, it's been longer than that, probably 6 months ago. So look, I'm not concerned about his politics. The majority of people at this event were the power brokers in the Jewish community who want to see real change. And I'm flattered that they want to work with somebody like me. So, needless to say, I was the skunk at the picnic party in a sense because I stood out, but I wasn't considered a skunk. I mean, contrary to what people may have you believe, these were very ingratiating folks wanting to work with my team. So that being said, that was my rationale for being in New York. And it was such fun to be there. And, it's always it's good for me to visit, but I don't really like to live there. And I could tell you, story after story. Found some pot, just walking along. It was at a park, found some pot. So there's a kind of an interesting story. Tried to turn it over to 5 or 6 police officers, and they go, can't take it, can't take it, can't take it. They had the Veterans Day parade while I was in New York, and that was a thrill, seeing all the veterans, young and old. A lot of Vietnam vets are now starting to come out and discuss, what their lifestyle has been post-war, and starting to get their due. So that was fun as well. Anyway, we got a ton of stuff to talk about today. Why? Because President Trump is in Asia still and making mad progress. And there are many signs that I noticed over the weekend that point to the success of Donald Trump and his agenda. And I want to go through some of that. I also want to talk about the people who still suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. So I'm going to get into that in the next segment. And then, I want to talk about what I'm calling, and I think is being known as, the Trump jinx. And it has to do with people who go against Donald Trump and what's happening in their lives. How are these people being impacted? Is Trump winning, or is the left winning when it comes to being anti-Trump? Now, we can begin this thing by talking about foreign policy. And one of the things that I'll give you an example, Barack Obama never did use the Navy 7th Fleet to do war games, if you will, in the South China Sea and over in that area of the world. The last one that was done was in 2007 under Bush. And so people wonder, why does Kim Jong-un, why is he coming out so much and not being very defiant? Well, he was left alone to build his nuclear program that Bill Clinton ushered in on his behalf. And then Barack Obama left him alone. He let Iran and North Korea go along their merry way, two of the most crazy regimes in the world, going along to build nuclear weapons. And he did nothing. And so now we're dealing with the fallout. So now Kim Jong-un's finally being treated like the fat little ugly kid that he is, and he's rebelling. He's not going to win. The media is not going to win this battle. And it's funny that, and this touches on what I want to get to in one of the segments. How's Donald Trump? Donald Trump called him, said something along the lines like, I won't call him fat and short and fat, even though he called me old. And normally, comedians on the left, they pick up on this stuff and they go to beat up Trump. He's not presidential, but something very different happened. Anyway, a lot going on, folks. We'll be back in just a minute.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Why do we bother to listen to people like Bernie Sanders, to anybody on the left? Why do we listen? Why is George Clooney somebody we listen to? This guy's name is Ron Perlman. He tweets, and he's anti-Trump. And I finally just got in his butt the other day. I just went after him. I did. And I'm like, why should we listen to you? He's the guy that played the lion in Beauty and the Beast. When remember when they had Linda Hamilton and she had a lion looking dude that protected her or whatever. That was the dude, and they didn't even need makeup. He's an ugly guy. Oh, you know what he's in? They canceled the show, but it was something of anarchy, the biker gang, and he was the leader of the biker gang. Super ugly dude. Not trying to be mean, but he is. And he always comments he's anti-Trump. This is a guy that you'd say to yourself, shut up. What do you know? He knows nothing. If we've learned anything from the left over the past decade, I mean, certainly longer than that, but let's just say the past 6 months, is they're liars. They're disingenuous liars. Worst people on the planet. They will steal from you faster than anybody and rationalize it. They will beat their wives and rationalize it. They will pretend that there's some atrocity happening to blacks and take a knee when there's nothing happening. They will pretend that they love women and they will protect them when they're the ones doing the worst to them. I'm telling you, if we've learned anything, we've learned they are the most crooked, vile people on the planet. They get mad, but give me some equal examples. Oh, Kevin, what about that Roy Moore? Unsubstantiated nonsense? That's what I would say to you. By the way, 30 years ago, I heard you molested a little boy in your neighborhood. What are you talking about? Why not? Could it have happened? Have you been around any little boys 30 years ago? Yeah, well, maybe one of them talked. Reminds me of that joke where the guy, the little Chinese dude sitting on the thing, and the guy says, the guy, I don't remember the whole joke, but it was something like, he says, he won't talk to the guy that comes up to him and says, hey, can you give me some gasoline or something? And he says, well, maybe I'll ask the cow for gasoline, and the cow will tell me, well, maybe he's got some gasoline. I don't know, whatever. So he's talking like the animals. And finally he says, well, maybe I'll ask the sheep. And the old Chinese guy goes, sheep, she lie. Oh, you kind of get the joke, right? Even without me telling it right, you get it. So why do we listen to them? There's no reason to listen to them. They don't have a politician that makes a lick of sense. Tell me any policy Barack Obama had that has to do with your money, and I'll tell you, it was ridiculous. It wasn't going to work. Obamacare. He ripped us off. I'm $60,000. I don't know what it is total, but I know I'm at least $30,000 light because of Obamacare. And I think it's higher. I'm talking about just premiums. Told you guys this year, before I would be able to use my insurance, I will have spent $29,000. What kind of insurance is that? I don't know what would have to happen to me. And I know $29,000 doesn't go a long way in the medical field, but doggone it, it goes quite a ways. So he's done nothing. They can't point to anything that Barack Obama didn't help the economy. He didn't help blacks in unemployment. He didn't help businesses reinvest. In fact, most businesses are looking for things offshore. They're leaving their money offshore because they don't want to bring it back to his tax plan. Most of you are not looking to do better in life. You're trying to just get by. But they want to make you believe he's something else. So we have Bernie Sanders, who is still exalted by the left. They love this guy. And Bernie Sanders, 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago, Democratic contender, described the socialist ruled Venezuela as a more suitable exemplar of the American dream than the United States. And he wrote an essay. And here's what he essentially said. These days, the American dream is more apt to be realized in South America in places such as Ecuador, Venezuela, Argentina, where incomes are actually more equal today than they are in the land of Horatio Alger. That's how silly this man is. Despite Venezuela receiving trillions of dollars in oil revenue over recent decades, they're in the midst of an unprecedented economic collapse. And it is exactly because of the redistribution programs that Sanders extolled as a model for the U.S. economy that they are suffering. Grocery store shelves barren, hospitals no access to vital medicines, rationing underway, riots in the streets of Caracas. Triple-digit annual inflation is set to jump, they said, to 2,300% in 2018, and that was an article that was written at the end of written earlier this year in 2017. And guess what? The projected Venezuelan inflation rate is currently 2,600%. They thought it was going to be 2,300 in 2018. It's at 2,600 now. What do you think it's going to be later? Let me explain inflation to you in this respect. You don't even go to work to get a check. You have to go to work to barter. That barter is, I do this and you give me food, because by the time you get your check, it's worthless. I've been there. I didn't experience it. I've been in a culture where they got their checks from their employer. The wives would wait outside of a business, grab the husband's checks, run down to cash the checks in, and then go run to the grocery store and buy everything they could on that check. They didn't save a nickel, because it didn't do any good. The only thing of value is your service at that point. And you better hope you have a service that people need. For example, let's say you fix engines and people's engines are breaking down. They got to get from A to B. I don't know, whatever it is, but it better be valuable, because if it's not, you're not getting fed. Nobody cares about your worthless paper, Venezuelan money. An intensifying political crisis that spiraled since 2014 has weighed heavily on the economy. Gross domestic product is expected to, get this, contract 6% next year, after shrinking an estimated 12% in 2017. This is what socialism vets. It gets you nothing except the worst possible conditions. And yet, what do you see these people doing? Constantly, Bernie Sanders telling you redistribution's the way to go. We were headed there until Donald Trump stepped in. The Central Bank of Venezuela stopped publishing their inflation data in 2015. That's why. They didn't want to tell you. We are so hyperinflated, our currency is worthless. Go try to exchange Venezuelan money at one of these exchanges. There was one by my hotel in New York. If I'd taken Venezuelan money in there, they would have laughed at me.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. 844-551. Excuse me. 844-551. 8255. Glad you guys are hanging in there. So I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump, his performance, and I want to begin by saying this. I can't stand these so-called conservatives. And I'll use an example with Judge Moore. So Judge Moore is under fire because of 40-year-old allegations that he's, tried to date some young girl. Now, it's come up because he's gained momentum and the left doesn't like it. So I think establishment Republicans, the same way they took down Herman Cain, are trying to take down Judge Moore. And it's amazing how fast the list of what I call leftist Republicans jumped on the I can't support Roy Moore campaign before the dust even settled. I'm amazed at how fast that occurred. It's disturbing. And what it does is it outs people immediately. Not to mention the Washington Post, who says, well, we had allegations. Really? So I did allegations. I said, well, Jeff Bezos years ago molested 40 women, and they will be coming forth at a later time. One of them, by the way, was a Guatemalan midget. Refute that, Jeff Bezos. How long? What is the statute of limitations on people's lives? Now, I'm not saying that if he did it, it wouldn't have been wrong necessarily, but I'm saying, what's the statute of limitations? And when is the statute of limitations for you to bring it up? See, this is another hit list thing that just really pisses me off, to be honest with you. And immediately, so-called conservatives, it's suspect. With everything that we've learned about the fake media, fake news, created news, what they will do to manipulate elections and then point the finger over somewhere else, and you want to fall for this? Look, if you're listening to this program, you probably didn't. But you know people who did. Oh, I don't know if I can do that or do that. Let me tell you, I heard Kellyanne say something similar to that, Kellyanne Conway. I get it. People want to say, have those types of reactions. But here's what I say to them. First thing that should come out of your mouth is, these allegations are likely fake news. They're likely false. So I'm not buying into it. You can buy into it, but I'm not going to. I know how the media operates. I know how the left operates, and so does the rest of America. You have a guy who's he's a religious guy. And some would even call him sanctimonious. Why do you think they want to destroy him? Because he represents everything that they hate. He represents a guy who's lived his life on the up and up, played by the rules, and they're, look at him breaking the rules. The left breaks the rules every day. And you know what? Here's the second part of my equation. If he did date a younger girl at whatever age, Jerry Seinfeld did it. Nobody said a word. He, when he was 38 years old, dated a 17-year-old girl. Nobody blinked an eye. She was hot. She was beautiful, beautiful Jewish girl. Nobody blinked an eye. Don't ask me why, because he's Seinfeld? She's my companion. Okay, great. So, in other words, look, I'm not going to get into whether Jerry Seinfeld was involved with her or it was just, when she turns 18, she's legal. I like her. I wanted her to know, blah, blah, blah. It's not the strangest thing to see somebody that age date somebody that age. He's more than double her age. But when she becomes 18, she's legal. Now, the fact of the matter is, that's a big age gap. I think it's strange that Seinfeld wouldn't find someone in her he's 38. Find somebody 28 to 32, somewhere along that line. There's some beautiful girls out there. He's Seinfeld. But what bugs me is that nobody said a word about that. He wasn't running for president. He wasn't running for office. He wasn't running for senator. But that doesn't matter. The reaction should be the same. And what's really interesting to me is that we are so quick to throw people under the... if he did that, he's supposed to be a religious guy. No, he's a guy. And you don't know that he did it. But even if he did, it doesn't make him wrong. It may have been the same circumstances that you'd be willing to overlook it. You've overlooked more in your lives. You know you have. We don't know. There are very mature. I've met 17, 18-year-old girls who are very mature, or you would say, why would a 38-year-old guy want to? Because she's not in a 17-year-old soul. You know what I'm saying? You've met these people. You've met young people that you go, that kid. I know a little boy who always wears a hat my grandfather used to wear. You never forget this little kid. And he liked big band music. And he talked with a bit of a swagger. And he knew all the old films of Bing Crosby and Bob Hope and others. I'm talking about to the point where you were like, how do you know that? How do you know that reference? How do you know the ship from the... It was like he was born in another time, because this kid had all of the intellect and all of the swagger, all of the feel of a 50-year-old dude that was part of the Rat Pack. And he acted like him. And I thought to myself, what a cool cat, man. Because he was. So you know that kid's not, he's an anachronism. He doesn't feel comfortable in this day and time. He feels comfortable wearing that hat and those old-timey suits and clothes. And that's what he wore. That's what made me, look and go, hey, let me ask you something, kid. I was probably in my 30s when I met this kid, 10, 11 years old. And he knew it. It was who he was. So look, I've seen women like that. Most girls 17 or 18 years old, let me tell you something. The average dude that's in his late 20s wants nothing to do with them. They have a whole other thing. But you meet people in your life. You might be 50 and meet somebody in their 30s who doesn't act like a 30-year-old. You get what I'm saying? I'm not excusing any of this, by the way. I'm not trying to make excuses. But here's the thing. I don't believe Roy Moore did what they said he did. I don't believe it for a second. I believe that there are people that are going after him and they're trying to destroy a man. For what? So that they can get somebody in who will likely destroy the country. They want a Democrat in there. So we've seen the playbook of what the Democrats are going to do. We know what they're going to do. We've watched it play out with Donald Trump. And Trump won because, number one, he doesn't give a crap. And number two, you backed him. And if Roy Moore wins, and I hope he does, if Roy Moore wins, he will be showing the establishment that your dirty tricks no longer work. He will be showing the media that your dirty tricks no longer work. And more importantly, he will set the stage for good people to run in the election cycle, to admit what they've done wrong and say, I don't care if you know it or not. That's what this country needs. We are done. We should be done with these sanctimonious leftists who commit all these heinous crimes right in front of your face. They do what they tell you right in front of their faces. Who was the latest guy? Who was it? He literally, Louis C.K. Louis C.K. says to women, "You men are bad for you," and he does his routine. Meanwhile, he gets off stage, and what's he do? He does exactly what he just told you. You got to men are terrible people. He's saying what he is, and he's doing it because it gives him a gauntlet of protection. So I want to go back to these so-called conservatives. We've allowed these never-Trumpers, these so-called conservatives, to be comfortable. And for me, they're like the climate change boneheads. See, the fact is there's no such thing as man-made climate change of any significance. If you get outside of your stupid cities, you'll see that. The majority of the world is not having any problem with air quality. It's just weather. And despite proof, folks, that Donald Trump is a rock star, the anti-Trump, the never-Trumpsters remain in denial. They see it. They've watched this economy bloom. They've watched all the things that have happened in America and abroad because of Donald Trump happened, beginning with Carrier, that Barack Obama said the man needed a magic wand, and on through to getting NATO back in line and paying their bills. The impact of Trump is being felt in Japan. Their GDP for the first time in 7 years was positive. You think that was because of Obama? No. It's because of Donald Trump. So you got all this Trump effect. You've got low unemployment. We even have people coming up, that's not Donald Trump. Barbara Streisand tweeting, that's not Trump, that's remnant of Obama. Yeah, really, said, who believes that? Given everything that Donald Trump has talked about with companies, let me tell you, that Foxconn building a big facility in the Northwest, I think in the Wisconsin area, we got all these different companies coming in and saying, the only reason why I'm here is because of Trump, and you got never-Trumpers. More on them when I come back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com, where we are pro-Trump. I'm not pro everything Trump does. His new tax plan, I think Ted Cruz is right. I think Donald Trump's tax plan cannot penalize the states, with their tax base, in the sense that if you live in a state that has a tax, you can't deduct that. Now, I get why he's doing it. He's saying, no, states should not have a state income tax. I completely agree. But what Donald Trump needs to do is let the market run its course. If you live in a state that has a state income tax and you can only deduct it, I think, up to $10,000, meaning your home mortgage and all the other well, I shouldn't say home mortgage, your state income taxes. I was getting something convoluted there. Your state income tax, you can only deduct up to $10,000 if I'm not mistaken. But you might have state income taxes of $30,000. I don't know what the limit might be. So you can't deduct that $20,000. So you're getting hit. That part looks like income. But what it would do is it would incentivize states not to do that, because the states that don't have state income taxes, like Texas, for example, would benefit. Now, the problem is it could, and it you got to let the market play itself out, but it could shift a lot of you would think it'll shift even more conservatives out of those states and into the other states. But let's face it, Texas needs fewer Californians and a lot more, free-thinking, say, Nevadans moving there. It needs more people escaping oppression in order to build its numbers back and make sure that it is solidly a red state, because Texas is under fire. If you haven't noticed, all of the former red states are under fire, but you don't see any dent in California, you don't see a dent in Massachusetts, you don't see a dent in New York, and so on and so forth. So maybe this is a way to do that. Or maybe it's a way to concede those states as leftist, tax and spend states, and then everybody else moves out and let the leftists have their thing. So I get both sides of the story. But my point is this. I don't agree lockstep with Donald Trump, and neither does Ted Cruz, and neither do many of you. But what I do know is what he's proposing is heads and shoulders better than anything Barack Obama does. And as I was saying earlier to these never Trumpers, despite proof, folks, in many instances, getting rid of Obamacare, that is a good thing. It is inspiring this economy to do more. Adjusting the tax base, particularly for business, is creating a business environment that has lowered the unemployment rate to levels we hadn't seen in a long time. Consumer confidence through the roof. And I could go on. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a never Trumper, you are an Obama lover. After 8 years of Obama, Trump's election was immediate fresh air. He lived up to almost every promise that he made during the campaign, but the complaint of the boneheads is he doesn't act presidential. Oh, I don't give a crap. So what? He doesn't act presidential. He performs presidential. Unlike Barack Obama, who acted presidential, Barack Obama didn't know how to perform presidential. Great. He put on a suit. He looked around, looked sophisticated, said all the right thing. Yeah, we're going to do something over here that's a little bit crazy, and then we're going to be crazy over here. And everybody's going to love me because I'm black president. Yeah, there you go. And left is, oh my gosh, he's amazing. Yeah, he's so amazing that everything that Donald Trump is fixing was the remnants of Barack Obama, and hardly a peep out of any of these morons. Instead, they attack. Let me tell you, there's this thing called the Trump jinx that I've been talking about. And if you mess with Donald Trump, it doesn't go well. It seems that most of the anti-Trumpers find their fortunes lessened along with their career prospects. And a good example, and I know we've been using this guy a lot as a whipping boy, but it's true. Harvey Weinstein. I mean, look at what happened to this guy. His career is, as he knew it, is over. The very thing that the left tried to tie around the neck of then presidential candidate Donald Trump boomeranged to bite Weinstein in his big Jewish butt cheeks. And, Donald Trump he reached over to talked about grabbing women, blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump said truth. You may not like that truth, but the fact of the matter is, folks, look, let me tell you something. I've been around enough athletes and entertainers and have had my stint in being a little bigger than the norm. And I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump didn't lie when he said there are women who will let you do anything to them just to be in your presence. Now, I'm going to tell you, my little career in the martial arts and other things, nothing in comparison to what I've seen with my own eyes with my professional basketball, my professional football friends, my professional track buddies, and my professional fighter buddies, and, of this day. There is nothing you can tell me about women that would shock me with respect to these people. Nothing. So Donald Trump's comments were benign in comparison. It's unbelievable. But so what's interesting is how it's biting Hollywood. It's biting Louis C.K. Louis C.K. hasn't helped Hollywood or women. We called him a sexual predator in feminist skin. He got a lot of attention from feminists for his pro-women stance in his comedy material. I mentioned this earlier. He sought to tackle the difficult subjects like rape and violence towards women in his stand-up act. And as I said, it did nothing except to provide cover for what Louis C.K. was doing. Don't be surprised to learn that Weinstein was donating to a bunch of women's organizations, to help battered women and women of rape and women of whatever. Because that's what they do. They will show you, unlike us, where we say, oh, my sister was a victim or my mother was a victim and we donate. These guys donate to appease their guilt. That's why Kevin, I don't understand why you don't want our help. We're trying to help black people because I don't want your hurt that goes with it. Louis C.K. in his HBO special, he said, how do women still go out with guys when you consider the fact there's no greater threat to women than men? We're the number one threat to women. Globally and historically, we're the number one cause of injury and mayhem to women. We're the worst thing that ever happens to them. What a beautiful thing to say. To let the feminist propaganda let them buy into this nonsense. Yeah, what a great thing to say. So wouldn't it be a thing to say, when men have been the victims of treachery, it's generally women that do it. It's generally the women that are close to them, like Samson. Delilah. What did she do to Samson? She cut off his locks of hair. CK didn't care about women. He abused women. And what he did is he showed that the vagina heads have zero credibility, Ashley Judd and many others, that allowed the Weinsteins and the CKs, the Louis CKs, to have their way with them, sacrifice many subsequent women on the altar of the casting couch. And ironically, the credibility of the women's movement is still higher than that of the media. They attacked Trump with fake news. But instead of running, President Trump called him out on it. Now, all the so-called media outlets are considered fake news and they're bleeding red ink. Without bonehead billionaires like Jeff Bezos popping up, for example, the Washington Post, these guys would be deader than disco. And what about the NFL? I'm talking about the Trump jinx right now, folks. For those of you who are wondering, listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. Week after week, the NFL ratings drop. Biggest drops occurred after the president called the league out for letting players take a knee. And so the Trump jinx ran roughshod over the league. But the NFL isn't alone. ESPN moved from sports to social justice years ago, and the Trump jinx hit them as well. Breitbart reported that ESPN had lost 15,000 subscribers a day in October. And for those of you doing the math, that's 480,000 subscribers for the month. Now, you better know there's some frowns on the faces of those ESPN executives. 15,000 subscribers per day. So what are the results? Layoffs. While President Trump is revitalizing most of American industry, he can't save some companies from themselves. So Sports Illustrated reported that ESPN's got a massive layoff planned. Yeah, they were briefed on these plans, and they're saying it's going to hit ESPN's front-facing talent on the television side, producers, executives, digital and technology staffers. Multiple ESPN employees said that it's tense around there. They asked, how are the people feeling? And they said they're feeling queasy. So like Hollywood and the media, ESPN is going to figure out that the Trump's jinx is real because it is the representative feelings of the American people. This isn't about Trump. This is for them to get their acts together.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. I'm not one to mince words. You guys know this. And I want to tell you that I'm so sick of leftists. I'm sick of the racist that come from the left. I'm sick of the misogynist. I'm sick of the anti-Trump side of the left. I'm sick of the anti-American side of the left. I'm sick of them. I'm not treating them with kid gloves the way a lot of people do. I'm going to spend this hour talking about racism. There was a tweet that hashtag that was trending, and it says something about this is racist or no more racism or something like that. And it got me to thinking about all the energy we spend on racism when I know who the person is who's the people who are the most racist in the country are leftists. And they constantly want us to believe that we are. And I'm going to read an article to you, pieces of it, from a guy. And then I want to juxtapose little pieces of of what's going on in the country inside of the article, because we're going to spend a lot of this hour on it. And you'll see why. I think you'll understand that we are about to go into yet another season of joy. The Christmas season will be upon us, where we should be thinking about God's gift to the world, that he gave his only begotten son so that we could live and look for this thing that is now framed inside of a document called our Constitution. That Constitution gives you nothing that God didn't give you. All we did was put rules around it so that we could live within the spirit of what God created. That's what the founding fathers did. And what does the left want to do? They want to take all that out. Oh, no, we're going to take it out because, it seems racist. We aren't appealing to all these other religions. I don't live in the Middle East. I'm not trying to appeal to the Quran. And I know there are Jewish people out there that appeal to the Torah, and it isn't calling for the death and destruction of me. I'm just sick of these people. I'm sick of the nation that we've created. And I said it earlier, we allowed these people to come into existence. We allow leftists their indulgences. We've allowed them to become deranged. We've been too easy on them. Leftist politicians ignore our laws. They ignore them. You say we can't have citizens in this country hurting, taking away our resources, killing people unless they've come through the legal system. And there are people that say to you, I don't care what you say. In fact, if you say that, I'm going to call you a xenophobe. I'm going to call you racist, depending upon the country where these people come from. I'm going to call you something that allows me to put you on the defensive. Well, you're not putting me on the defensive. If you don't come into this country legally, you have no standing with Kevin Jackson. I put the people who've come into this country legally above you. Sorry for you. That's just the way I feel. But these people ignore our laws and they set up sanctuary cities and they tell us we need to be humanitarian and bring refugees in. And it doesn't matter how much sanity you wrap around it and say, well, look, these are the number of Muslim terror attacks that have occurred by decade throughout the years, blah, blah, blah. And they've escalated to the point of going from 1 to 13 to 35 over a decade to 2,000 plus per year. And they ignore you. They pretend they don't know how it happened. Talking to a data guy for the Major League Baseball while I was at an event. And he's telling me about the data. Then we shift into politics because I told him, he's like, yeah, I recognize you from Outnumbered. And I said, yeah, I was on there. And I said, that lame brain Marie Harf. And he defended her. And I knew exactly where he stood then. And I said to him, so here's what, I'm giving him statistics. I'm using data because I know he understands it. I'm giving him statistics about the person who ran over people. I'm in his city where a Muslim man ran over 8 people in a truck, killed them, really wounded, badly wounded 12 others. And he says, well, that's not the biggest attack. And he's trying to tell me that the biggest attack was in Vegas. The number of people died. I said, that's not true. And so I'm explaining to him all the data, the stats, etc. And you know what he says to me? Well, I don't believe you. And I go, okay, so when I go to this event, should I believe your data? And he looks at me. I said, you're an expert in baseball data. Do you hear me defending anything going up against you with respect to the data, the analysis that you do? Do you see this? We've talked about it for 15 minutes. Did I dispute anything you said? He said, no. I said, you know why that is? And he just looked at me. I said, it's okay to answer. He says, because I'm an expert. I said, yes, because I respect what you said because you're an expert in it. You're a layman in what you're talking about now. I've poked holes in everything you've said, and you continue to argue. I said, now, I'm an expert in this other side. What say you? Well, but, I said, and you continue to argue. He didn't even know what to say. Poor guy. But he got it. Yeah, we made friendly afterwards, but he's an idiot. Let me tell you, you don't understand how detached these people are. And we have allowed it. They impose standards. These leftists impose standards on America they dare not impose on other countries. Look at America. We have to diversify our colleges and universities. We have to be diverse in our culture, diverse in our capitalism, in our companies and corporations. We follow rules that, look at the Chinese. Do you think the Chinese have a diversity problem in their companies? Do you think that they have to go out and find a certain number of women, a certain number of Guatemalan midgets, a certain number of black folks, whatever, handicapped? Or do you think they just make products? By the way, if you got one of those fidget spinners, you got a fidget spinner? Any of y'all got one? Yeah, everybody's got them. They're recalling them. They're made in China. You know why? Lead, of course. They're dangerous. You're spinning something and poisoning yourself. I took all my fidget spinners away from my kid. By the way, I saw the best fidget spinner is a revolver, 6-shooter. That's a man's fidget spinner right there. All I'm telling you, folks, is we are the people that allow the derangement to happen within leftists because we don't challenge them. I had some people telling me while I was traveling, they said, Kevin, I just prefer not to get into a battle with certain people and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I went, why? Well, why do you not want to battle? I go, the minute you go, I don't want to battle, that other guy goes, I want to battle. You don't want to go. When somebody says, I don't like Trump, I don't say anything about it. People to this day tell me they don't want to tell people they voted for President Trump. I mean, how are you going to win? Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to talk about these deranged folks. I'm going to tell you a story about a guy, and he asked the question, can my children be friends with white people? This is an article you do not want to miss me dissect. Back in a bit, folks, to Kevin Jackson Show.
the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com is where you can find the show anytime you want, 24/7. And go there. That's where you need to get, a little bit more intimate with me. Not implying anything. I'm just saying, And my book, Race Pimping, you can get racepimping.com. I suggest you get this book because it explains a lot of the things I talk about all the time. I was talking about allowing leftists to become deranged. That's what we have done as conservatives. We've ignored them. It's like a child who's throwing a tantrum. You're told to ignore them, and you can. But with a child, you have them all the time, and they will eventually learn the ways of your family. Leftists don't. They go back to their little enclaves, their cocoons of ignorance, and they continue to foment over what you said and get more and more angry with you and not getting solutions, but instead getting more and more ingrained with others around them. They're a scary bunch, the left. And the only way to get them out of their pathology is when you get them out of their group and you force them to have to listen. Then they listen. If they're in a group, they're amazing to watch. They will self-correct each other instantaneously. Well, you got to be. No, you don't want to say. They do that. If I'm in a group of conservatives and we're talking and somebody says, well, Kevin, I don't know about that. I'll go, well, you may not, but I do. I don't try to tell you how to be. I might go, yeah, I disagree with you, Ted. Yeah, I don't believe in that. But I won't go, ooh, Ted, wow. You can do what you want, say what you want, but I'll tell you quickly, I disagree. But we can agree to disagree. You might like size 0 girls. And I prefer, size 6. Oh, Kevin, ooh, fat shaming. Whatever. I could easily get away with that if he likes 0 girls. Don't like the fatties, do you, Ted? Yeah. Look at you, fat shaming over there, buddy. That's how the left would handle that. Just giving you an idea. They look to, these guys are ignoring our laws. They impose standards on America. I've researched diversity throughout the world, and I keep coming back to the same conclusion. We are the most diverse country on the planet. Always. In every sector. I mean, I don't know how you measure the number of indigenous whites, the blacks, the Hispanics, or whatever, but we got it all. Excuse me, we have it all. So what are they talking about? And then I profiled all these other countries. Muslim countries, practically monolithic. African countries, monolithic. The only countries where diversity is discussed is white countries. Europe, Scandinavia. How many refugees are you going to take? Simple reason why. Nobody's leaving the white countries going to these countries of color. El Salvador. We got MS-13 gang problems in America because El Salvador is in the middle of a civil war. We got problems coming from the Middle East, people on the run. Why? Because Muslims are in the midst of a civil war. The Shias are fighting with the Sunnis or whoever. Look, there's a lot of people in America. The only people fighting with each other are gangbangers. The rest of us get along. But we have to have this stupid discussion all the time. Politicians ignoring our laws, bringing in more and more ingrates who do nothing but take from this country. They don't want to give back. They don't want to come here and assimilate. They don't like us. But that's where we are. Oh my goodness, politicians. Looking at the laws of Britain and Canada. Ooh, we gotta love that Canadian healthcare system. Yeah, that Canadian healthcare system that has people on waiting lists to get blood tests. If I want to get something done in America, I'll go. I got 5 choices as to where I can go to get something done immediately. I have to wait. I may wait a few hours. I might even have to wait a day or so. But I don't have to wait with, life and death on the line. Are you kidding? But they want to bring in all these laws. Crazy. Oh, I was going to tell you guys a quick story before we get into this too far, because I forgot about it. So I'm walking down the street in New York, and you guys know I talk about Guatemalan midgets a lot. So I'm walking down the street, and I'm headed to either, I think, a hotel or maybe an event. I don't remember. And I'll be a son of a gun. I hear this guy go, "Hey, Pepe." And there's this little dude coming from down under the city. He's got a basement, but he's coming up on the street from a basement. And I'll be doggone if it's not a Guatemalan midget. I'm not lying. I'm like, I've got to get a picture with this dude, but he was so busy. They were like, "Pepe," and he's like talking, "Hey, I gotta get over here, I gotta go over there," and he's running around, and I'm trying to I'm like, dude, the minute you stop, I'm getting a picture. But I was rushing to get somewhere, so I said, I'll stop back by and get this picture, because this is my new best buddy right here. Dude's like 3'8", I'm telling you, he's tiny. He was as wide as he was tall, and he's Guatemalan midget right there. It's like, you don't even know. He doesn't even know how pleased I was to see him and see him working. Oh man, let me go back to what I was talking about. Allowing these leftists to become deranged. As I said, they go out, they look at countries, they find the health care. Where do you think you're going to get better health care than in America? "Oh, Kevin, you don't even know. Over in such and such, they've got amazing health care. What can we not get it here?" "Oh, the FDA hasn't approved." Okay, well, if you're talking about approval of drugs, I'll give you that. But in terms of health care, pure health care, tell me where you want to go. Tell me. You got brain something going on. What do you think? What are you talking about? I want Dr. Ben Carson working on my head. I know he's a pediatric brain guy, but he'll recommend the right person. I'm not going offshore. I'll do it right here. So these guys want you to believe healthcare is better. They want you to believe education's better. Education is better in the way that it's evolved. The U.S.'s education is the best education in the world, and let me tell you why. Because even though they got this cookie cutter approach that destroys the minions among us, the people's minds who are the top thinkers in America, there's nobody that thinks like us. Nobody in the world. The closest might be Britain or France, but they're losing it. See, America, you see the world through complete openness. You see the vastness of the universe is not full. It's empty to you. And versus it being full in the sense of communism or some other strange form of or even socialism that says you cannot think this way. You cannot think, like in France, for example. Oh, if you say something negative against Muslims, they go, well, we're going to put you in jail. Well, so that stops your thoughts from even coming around that. You don't want to wrap your mind around it. So I want you to think about everything that you stop thinking about when somebody says, oh, you can't say midget. Kevin, it's little person. No, it ain't. It's midget. You can think little person. I'll think midget. So my point is this. You can't have the best system of learning if your mind can't be expanded to its biggest point. You know the old saying, the mind once expanded never regains its original shape. That's Thoreau.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What else is going on? Today, President Trump tweeted that our criminal justice system is a joke. Yeah. He then tweeted, how is my entire family not in prison? Come on. What are we doing here? Yeah, that's good.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's Kevin Jackson Show. Not even funny. Conan, without a laugh now, audience. That's not even, nobody's going to laugh. It's not even funny. President Trump, what's his family going to go to jail for? Being successful? Don't be surprised. Folks, there are people they want to put in jail because they're successful. Look at what they're doing to Roy Moore. I'm just telling you, folks, we are being ruled by madmen. We live in a time of madmen. It is our responsibility to confront these leftists everywhere they are. I do it. I recommend it. Don't be afraid of it. Get yourself. You don't have to be that deep. People, Kevin, you got all the stats and stuff. No. Just be loud in your argument like they are. Be just as loud. And when you're done, if you feel like you lost, call them a racist. Why not? That's what they do. Since when do citizens sacrifice our sovereignty to madmen? When do we start thinking this is a good strategy for us? We've allowed these people to make being American an entitlement. We've allowed them to make a whole subgroup of people believe that poverty is good. And if you go out and strive for something significant, then, you're the one that's a bad guy and they're the good guys. They're the ones that want to stay at home. To be American, folks, is either the luck of God allowing your DNA to be assembled on this soil, or citizenship in the greatest country in the world is earned. That's the way you get it. And the citizens determine how you get here, not bureaucrats. Diversity, folks. That's what they call this great experiment of America. We need to be more diverse. No, we don't. We don't need another ounce of diversity. In fact, we should be less diverse. I'd like to get rid of black teen thugs. I'd like to get rid of Muslim terrorists. And I'd like to get rid of most leftists I know. Which, by the way, those two fall under that other category as well. I'd like to get rid of those groups because then we would have practical utopia. These guys preach diversity, yet they teach racism. That's what the left teaches, racism. They want you to believe that people like you who don't give a crap, all you care about is character. They say you're racist. Let me tell you why. Because the majority of young black men in this country now, these teenage blacks, they have no character. And you have disdain for them because they are not men of character. Now they say, well, they could be taught character. Well, so could anybody. They don't have it, so I don't like them. Oh, that's racist. No, it's not. That's me sticking to principle. I'm going to tell you right now, as a black man, I don't like those little thugs. I don't like the way they make me look, and I don't like what they do to the people in this country. I'm not racist. I wouldn't raise my children to be that way. My sons are not like them. Oh, Kevin, you're better than them. You're dang right I am. I am better because I know what it's like to be a person of character. Does it mean I live up to it 24/7? The answer is no. I'm a failed, flawed Christian. Am I proud of that? No. But I'm just like you. So I don't put myself in some lower class of it. You're a failed, flawed Christian. Just get over yourselves. But I'll tell you this, you're a person who tries to be a person of character. And it's built on some Judeo-Christian value that the left doesn't want you to have. They want to demonize you for that because you want to hold people to a standard. They teach racism. They teach hatred of God. They teach hatred of this country. All things that we stand for in America. That's what they teach. That's what they want to teach. That's what they want your children to learn is hatred. A guy by the name of Yankonoff, Ikao Yankonoff, wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times, and he says this: my oldest son, wrestling with a 4-year-old's happy struggles, is trying to clarify how many people can be his best friend. My best friends are you and mama and my brother. But even a child's joy is not immune to this ominous political period, he writes. This summer's images of violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, prompted an array of questions. Some people hate others because they are different, I offer, lamely. A childish but distinct panic enters his voice. But I'm not different. And he writes this: it's impossible to convey the mixture of heartbreak and fear I feel for him. Now here it comes, folks. Donald Trump's election has made it clear that I will teach my boys the lesson generations old, one that I, for the most part, nearly escaped. I will teach them to be cautious. I will teach them to be suspicious. I will teach them distrust. Much sooner than I thought I would. I will have to discuss with my boys whether they can truly be friends with white people. When I tell you these morons teach, they teach hatred. They teach racism. I'm not kidding you. Why should this kid not trust white folks? Are they the ones committing the crimes in America? The answer is no. He says this: meaningful friendship is not just a feeling. It's not simply being able to share a beer. Real friendship is impossible without the ability to trust others, without knowing that your well-being is important to them. So I'll give you a perfect example in my life. I had a situation, and a friend of mine, black dude, we lived together, we were friends. We did a lot of stuff together. Knew a lot about each other. Very deep personal stuff. And we both were doing really well when we met. Well, I switched careers, started doing this, and ran through money faster than I ever would have imagined. And I needed, not serious money, but decent amount of money. Not the kind of money you just go to, anybody and get. 10 grand. I'll just tell you what I was looking for. I was looking for 10 grand. So I called my buddy up, knowing that he has it, because had he called me at a time in my life, I would have had it and would have gladly given it to him. And he gives me 50 reasons. He starts asking me a bunch of questions. What about this? Can you pay it back? And I'm going, look, man, no offense. You know me. I'm good for it. I'm struggling right now. I need the money, but, whatever. So he, at one point, got to the point where I felt like I was having to beg him for it, right? So I finally said, look, dude, here's the deal. You know I need it. And now you're putting me through this. If this were opposite, this wouldn't be happening. You'd have that money in your bank account. But that's okay. And I blew it off. And I needed it badly. One of my friends, no lie, I hadn't talked to this gentleman in 20 years. We knew each other in high school. We got reconnected on Facebook. He finds me, says, call me up. I called him. So overjoyed to hear from him. And he says to me, Kev, you mean so much to me, man. I can't believe I found you, blah, blah, blah. He says, I'm doing really well. He tells me about his life. And he says, if there's anything you need, you let me know. And I said, you know what? Maybe this is God telling me to talk to you about this. Because I'm not the type of person that, even says that. I'll figure out a way out without involving other people. But I said to him, I said, you know what, Brad? I need $10,000. And he says, done. When do you need it? It was that simple. Now, first guy, black guy. Brad hadn't talked to him in 20 years. Other guy had probably talked to him within a year. Had talked to him, through Facebook and a bunch of other stuff, literally once a week. Lived with him. We were buddies, blah, blah, blah. No money. Talked to a friend, white guy I hadn't seen in 20 years. The first thing out of his mouth is done. And this guy wants to know if his boy, whatever this dude writing this piece wants to know if his boy can be friends with white people. This is crazy. See, what Brad wasn't looking at me as black. Brad is looking at a kid he grew up with who, in a tumultuous year in his life, when we were buddies, when we got to know each other, he saw salvation in me that extended beyond that. And that's our friendship. And there was no amount of time that was going to take that away. And he also knew I'm good for it. This guy goes on. He says, history has provided little reason for people of color to trust white people in this way. In these recent months, it has put in the starkest relief the contempt in which the country measures the value of racial minorities. What a moron. When I told you guys, I'm sick of these leftists setting the narrative, these false narratives about you and many of my friends, I couldn't overstate that in any way, shape, or form.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I'm talking about this racist. I don't know what this guy's nationality is, but he's obviously not white. And he's written an op-ed in the New York Times. His name is Iko Yankanov. I have no idea who he is. I honestly don't. He's a person of color, obviously, because he's questioning if his children can be friends with white kids. And he's talking about Trump is the catalyst of what is this new America that he's having to deal with. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is this man talking about? Here's what I suggest to all these big city dwellers, these leftists. Get out. Go visit regular people. Go talk to them. Find out what they're about. You're going to be shocked. He goes on to say this: America is transfixed on the opioid epidemic among white Americans, who often get hooked after being overprescribed painkillers, while studies show that doctors underprescribe medication for African Americans. Now let me stop there just to show you how idiotic this man is. White people are getting overprescribed opioids, and it's creating a crisis, an opioid epidemic that he says it's only affecting white folks. And his rationale is it's because black people are underprescribed opioids. So which does he want? Is he wanting black people to be overprescribed opioids like whites? Certainly not, right? But he's blaming doctors who are preventing black folks from being part of this opioid epidemic that's such an epidemic that it's risen to the level to where President Trump is having to get involved. And Barack Obama at the end of his term started addressing it. It's risen to the level of where we are sounding alarm bells, and he's like, well, they underprescribe to black people. Why can't they make us part of this condition? That's how stupid black people are. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if he's not black, even worse. Because this is a white guy that's trying to protect black people by saying, you should be part of the opioid epidemic so that you can see that America's not racist. Well, you know what? I tell you what. I prefer not to be. This is what I'm talking about. It says, but when black lives were struck by addiction, we're cordoned off in minority communities with the police and threw away an entire generation of black and Hispanic men. So now he's saying that when blacks are crackheads or whatever, they're cordoned off. Does anybody want to get me to argue with who's cordoning off black folks? Which political party does the cordoning off of black people? That's a trick question. You don't need to answer. It's actually rhetorical. It says, likewise, despite centuries of exclusion and robust evidence of continuing racism, minority underemployment is often couched in the language of bad choices and personal responsibility. When systematic joblessness strikes swaths of white America, we get an entire presidential campaign centered on globalization's impact on the white working class. Even the nerve of some rich or visible African Americans to protest that America and its laws and its police has rarely been just to all has been met with the howls of a president who cannot tolerate that the lucky and uppity do not stay in their places. See, this guy right here, I would love to debate him. I would hand him his butt. He wants you to believe that the underemployment of blacks is because of you, conservatives. Let me explain the underemployment of blacks for the leftists that are listening to the program. The underemployment of blacks is because of you, leftists. It is because you have made black people stupid and feel entitled. You have. You've made them ill-prepared for the workforce. The only thing they're prepared to do is to complain. That's it. And then you show black folks burning down cities, picketing, taking a knee, ruining businesses like the NFL, like ESPN and others, and you expect somebody to go out and hire a bunch of black folks. Let me tell you what people don't hire. It has nothing to do with color. They don't hire troublemakers. Give me two people of equal ability and let me find out that one of them is a whiny, complaining person. I don't care what political, I don't care what their color is. I don't want them. I don't want trouble. You want to know why people are going on social media now looking at people and debating, do they want to be involved? I don't know. Let's go look at their Facebook page. Because they're debating on do they want to be bothered? Don't even look at their resume. You better know there are people now in organizations that you submit your resume, they go look at your Facebook, they go look for you, and they go tear it up. And you know what? There are a lot of names like Shaniqua and Jaquan on there. See, you can be go there and interview and act like you're Mr. All, very professional. But when they look at your Facebook page and you got your bandana on and you talking about being a Crip and you got your weapon pointed sideways into the camera where somebody takes a picture of you, then let me tell you something. People get very leery of hiring you. The guy goes on, he says this. As against our gauzy national hopes, I will teach my boys to have profound doubts that friendship with white people is possible. When they ask, I will teach my sons that this beautiful hue is a fault line. Spare my platitudes of how we are all the same on the inside. Spare me the platitudes, rather. He says, I first have to keep my boys safe. And so I will teach them that before the world shows them this particular brand of rending, violent, awful, fatal betrayal. Let me assure you that my heartbreak dwarfs my anger. I grew up in a classic Midwestern town. With all the American faults, it was a diverse and happy childhood kind of place. Slightly dull in the way that parents wish for their children. If race showed in class lines, school cliques, and being pulled over more often, our little Americana lacked the deep racial tension and mistrust that seems so hard to escape now. So let me tell you what this guy is describing. He's describing moving from middle America to the city. And he won't dare tell you that where he got his university training is exactly the place where racism exists. How many black teachers were there at his college or university? He didn't go to an HBCU. He went to a regular college. He went there where they taught him about diversity and ethnic studies, and they explained to this really willing sponge of just how bad it was for him, how bad his lifestyle was where he grew up, where he, to use his own words, said, I didn't see that. We didn't have the stuff that they're talking about. So he moved to the big city. He got indoctrinated, not only at the city, but in the urban indoctrination center. And now he sees it all. He said, look at all this racism, the cops, and you know who all it points back to? His people, leftists. That's who it points back to. And what's interesting to me is the New York Times publishes this. They're promoting this idiotic way of thinking because guess what? They're the New York Times. What do they know? They know New York. What they feel is an absolute indicative of the New York experience for them. One of the most diverse places on the planet, and all they talk about is racism. Go walk the streets of New York. I was there. No, there's no gang war. I'm not kidding you. You can hear every language. People of every different color, shape, size, you name it, walk right by you. There's nothing going on, and all they talk about is racism. And you know what's really interesting? The majority of those faces you see are not white. They're not. It's unbelievable. He says, what's surprising is that I am heartbroken at all. It is only for African Americans who grew up in such a place that watching Mr. Trump is so disorienting. What exactly is he talking about with Mr. Trump? When Donald Trump raises unemployment goes up for everybody. Now, let's look at Barack Obama's numbers. Barack Obama was cruel to blacks in comparison to whites, not just in unemployment numbers, in economic strata. Blacks, we may be the only group, well, everybody got hit, but we got hit the worst under Barack Obama of every group. If you want to look at just race and culture, we got hit the worst. He said it's just, honestly, the only reason why I'm covering this, and I wanted to cover it with respect to other news, and I don't know that I did a good job of that. But the reason why I wanted to cover this is I want you to understand these people are out here. And they're looking for a scapegoat. They want Donald Trump to be that scapegoat. Here's what I really hope that Omarosa and the Trump camp is able to do. I hope they're able to really do something significant for blacks, to shut these clowns up. Empowerment zones, just build one or two. That would be enough to be able to rub their faces in it. You know what I'm saying? Short break.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's another hour of the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com is where you can go and check us out for anytime you want. That's the cool thing about it, is it's 24/7 when you go there. I want to talk about the president's Asia trip, which is looking, talk about successful. Wow. Donald Trump has gotten Japan, which, by the way, the Japanese economy is doing really well. People don't realize this. It's growing. It's grown. In the first quarter of Donald Trump's presidency, the Japanese economy grew faster than it did in 7 years. Now, for those who say, oh, well, that's Barack Obama. Well, what's he got to do with it? It's a Japanese economy. It's being pulled through because of the pull through of Americans' economy that has grown under President Trump. Yeah, take that, Barbara Streisand. You know, stupid leftists, they don't want to admit they're wrong. They're going to look for any excuse to give Barack Obama credit for the economy. Let them fish away, guys. Go for it. Woohoo! You know, Strong J, do your thing. The fact of the matter is Donald Trump's a rock star. They don't want to admit it because by admitting that, they have to admit that you are smarter than they. They don't like that. That's why they hate you. They hate you for getting it right. You invalidate them. And it's common sense. You know, think about it. They chose an incompetent black guy who had never done anything meaningful in his life except, unless you want to call run for political office something meaningful. Donald Trump said, you know what I'll do? He says, I will become a success. And if I feel like I've done enough in my life, I'll give back some public service. That's what he did. I remember they laughed at Donald Trump his first, few months in office. They said, his market cap has gone down by $1 billion. And the left are like, look at him, he's losing money. And they're laughing because this man sacrificed. If Barack Obama had lost money when he got elected, they would have been giving him awards. Let's make it up for him. Let's do what they call it, these things where they get money for you. You know, these I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. But that's what they would be doing. If Barack Obama lost money, we can't let our president lose any money. We're going to go out and do a GoFundMe, and help President Obama and his family keep their money. That's what they would do. Donald Trump loses $1 billion. Look at him. He lost $1 billion. Yeah, look at him. Well, wait a minute. That's kind of what the founding fathers figured. If you came to do public service, you shouldn't enrich yourself. So in other words, Donald Trump has done it better than anybody. Can you imagine if Barack Obama was losing a fortune? The discussions we would have been having at the time. They ridiculed Trump. Hope he goes broke. A guy that donates his salary, gives it back to the government. Divested himself of all abilities for impropriety, knowing that these guys are going to be looking at him through a microscope. Man, an electron microscope they'll use to look at Donald Trump's finances. If he made a nickel off the government, they'd be, oh, look at him, he made a nickel. Somebody needs to impeach him. He made a nickel. And then what's he do? He goes to Saudi Arabia. He gets a $350 billion deal. He starts working on trade. Says, no, you know what? He goes, I've been blaming the wrong person. I've been blaming China and all these other countries. I should be blaming the various people, the politicians, the rhinos and the Democrats who allowed these trade deals, who allowed America to be taken advantage of. I'm not blaming China anymore. I'm not blaming Canada. I'm not blaming Mexico. I'm blaming these bureaucrats who took advantage of you. Good for him. Smart move, Donald Trump. Then he goes over to Asia, and I heard he's got a $250 billion deal in his pocket to bring back, probably some order from the Chinese, so that they can, work on the imbalance of trade. Or it's probably a combination of China and Japan, two big trade partners. We have almost $70 billion trade deficit with Japan, and we have a $347 billion trade deficit with China, our largest. Japan's number 2 in deficit, number 4 in overall trade. So here's Donald Trump going over there, knocking them dead, working with South Korea, working to get those guys, and putting it all together, piecing it all together like a puzzle so they can get after North Korea. Think about where he went. China, Japan, North Korea. Now he's headed to the Philippines. And he may be there. He's in the Philippines, in fact, or maybe he's left there too. I don't know. But I know he's doing the Philippines as well. He met with Putin in Vietnam. He was in Vietnam. Vietnam's coming on board. Everybody's going to start doing business with America and vice versa, because building this economy builds a bigger pie. See, Trump understands that. Everybody thinks it's a finite sized pie. It isn't. The U.S. economy has grown over $5 trillion under Donald Trump. That's why we don't need quantitative easing anymore. We are actually growing our economy. More people working means more people need things like houses and cars and consumer electronics and clothes and food. And that engine just keeps on going. And see, unlike most countries where we bring on population, we bring on productive citizens, citizens who work and citizens who go out and spend. That's why our economy is so robust. That's why it's outpacing China. I'm just saying, this is brilliance we're watching. And the left hate it because you saw it. You saw it. I tell the early adopters of Trump, congratulations to you for seeing something nobody else saw. Now, that being said, I didn't make a decision because I waited like I was supposed to until the gladiator who came out of the gladiator pit, who happened to be Donald Trump. That's what I waited on. But that, being honest with you, Trump was not my first choice. I was not an early adopter. But in my defense, I wasn't evaluating him in that mode. I was only evaluating likelihood of winning and, a combination of things. And in my evaluation, Trump was probably my number 3 candidate. Now, when it all shook out, I said this: I don't think there was any other candidate that could have beaten the left. Anyway, lots to talk about today. China calls President Trump Uncle Donald and Donald the Strong. I love that. These are guys that have respect for this man. I don't know what they call Barack Obama, but I don't think it had any connotations to strength. They might have called him Barack the baby, Barack the whiner. Who knows?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I got to tell you, I love the reception that President Trump got. They showed a graphic of how many people met President Trump on the tarmac and off the red carpet and how many people met Barack Obama. It was embarrassing to see what the reception was for Obama. Embarrassing. It really was. But then, you know what really warmed my heart? When President Putin and President Trump finally met, shook hands. He says, President came out and says, look, Russia says he didn't have anything to do with it. Putin, it's what he's going to say. He's not committal. President didn't say, I believe him, or he just said, hey, he's going to say what he needs to say. But I don't think Donald Trump believes Russia tried to influence the election negatively. I think what Donald Trump is trying to do is he's negotiating and he's looking at what am I going to have to get out of Putin later. Let's make this initial meeting a good meeting. And here's what I like about it. It finally connects Donald Trump to the Russians. There's no more, oh, well, here's what he's trying to do. He's trying to backdoor communications. All that. No, that was right in your face. He met with the Russians. He met with Putin. They had a conversation. And we can normalize relations with Russia. That doesn't mean they're going to be our BFFs. They're not going to be our best friends for life. But they are somebody we need to be talking to. I looked at the size of the Russian economy. We could squash them. We could make things so difficult on Russia, it would make your head spin. Don't you think Donald Trump knows that? Barack Obama didn't know how to deal with Russia. When Russia went into Crimea, it was like Barack Obama said, Crimea a river. He could do nothing. All he did was tough talk, like the Syrian red line. Well, we got this red line. You crossed the red line. I mean, I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to talk. I'm going to tell people, how tough I am, and then we'll see what happens. He did nothing. The red line came and it went. And there you have it. But President Trump met with Russia. You can bet those conversations were loaded with innuendo. Loaded with things about, between the friendships that we currently have with China, Japan. By the way, the biggest thing that Russia exports is their oil into Europe, mostly Eastern Europe. So that's their threat. That could easily be disrupted. The only reason Donald Trump wouldn't throw Russia into chaos is because the Russians would then have to rely on the black market. They'd have to rely on nuclear, selling nuclear material, which we now know they control 20% of ours. So that's not a good thing necessarily. There you have it. But I love that he met with Putin, and he can say now, look, now Donald Trump can start building his own relationship with Russia, which is going to be better than anything we had with Barack Obama. And we can start dealing with them in whatever way we need to. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's not for me to determine. It's not for you to determine. But what we have to trust is in the leadership that we put into place to do the right thing. We did not have that in the previous administration. Leftists don't want to admit it, but it's true. Barack Obama was in way above his head. He went in and you've met these people. I know you know them. They feel like they want to be involved. Here's the way I liken it. I liken it to when I was a kid and the adults would be talking in the other room. And I'd but I'd kind of come in. I'd listen to the conversation. And then I'd say something. And I wanted it to be profound. But it wasn't. And the adults would look at me like, nice try. But you need to get out of here. You're a kid. And sometimes my uncles might say, Kevin, this is an adult conversation. Meaning you just said something stupid. That's the way Barack Obama, honestly, that's the way he approached foreign policy. He was a kid walking into the room, given enough information to be dangerous, and then he'd say something stupid. But because he's a leftist and he was graded on the affirmative action plan, people would go, oh, he's so profound. He's so profound. He's amazing. It's amazing he can talk, and he can talk with clarity and in complex sentences and occasionally make sense. It's ridiculous. Anyway, however you view him, and I know there are some people that want to hold on to the vestige of great Barack Obama. However you view him, Donald Trump every single day makes you understand how bad. I mean, you can't see a bigger difference between two people going to do something and what they accomplished in Barack Obama and Donald Trump. You can't see it. I mean, it's just too big. You can't get it into one frame like a photographer. Ugh. Talked earlier about Roy Moore. If he wins, he proves DC nor the media control the narrative any longer. Dangerous spot for the media, dangerous spot for leftists. Roy Moore. Democrat operatives trying to bring him down. The more we learn about these women that went after Roy Moore, the less respect I have for Democrats in general. I mean, and quite frankly, it's beyond a lack of respect. These people are criminal. They need to be put in prison. Why have we not done this? Anyway, we talked earlier about Roy. You can go check out the podcast if you want to see what we had to say about him. Here's another thing I found interesting. No more ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear about this? When they make announcements in various places, ladies and gentlemen, no more. We've now become so politically correct that we can no longer say ladies and gentlemen because it's offensive. There's yet another state somewhere, I forget where it is, that recognizes a third gender. I don't know what that is. Is your gender no gender? Or is your gender I'm both genders? I don't understand. I understand the latter because there are people, hermaphrodites, born with both parts. But even they have an idea of what they are. So, for example, I'm not going to get too graphic, but if you have a female hermaphrodite that's got male genitalia, she will develop breast. And so a good example, Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a hermaphrodite. I didn't know. I mean, learned this years ago, but Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know if you saw Trading Places. Whoa, she looks good. So when they, did the surgery and got rid of the other set of stuff, which theoretically develop inside versus outside, that's all it was. But Jamie Lee's all woman. You get what I'm saying? So you kind of know which direction they're going to go. So you take them that direction, and that's that. Now we got to make a decision early on and all these other things. And it's squirrely out there. It's a crazy world. That's all I can say. Anyway, no more ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what they're going to say. We'll figure it out. We got a lot more to talk about. Glad you guys are with me. The Kevin Jackson Show, back in just a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I love pointing out when things change. These subtle rifts in the universe, particularly the universe of the leftists, where things just suddenly you go, uh-oh, something's wrong here. Jennifer Garner coming out saying, let's give Donald Trump a chance. George Clooney's wife having to admit that Barack Obama was horrible on human rights and sex trafficking of women. That's just a couple of examples. Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad saying anybody that would go against the president, F you. This is a guy who was anti-Trump, pro-Hillary, campaign, said Trump was a reckless, irresponsible idiot. And suddenly he's backtracking. Why? What happened? Those are the stories we want to dig deeper into. I want to know, why are these people changing their minds? Now look, there's all this evidence around you to show you what's happening inside of the left. We look at it and we go, oh, this Weinstein thing. Kevin, what's the deal? Oh, that's just related to Weinstein. No, it isn't. That's in a rift through the universe of leftists. Utopia, had a big earthquake. The realization that the war on women is being created from within the left. The realization that Harvey Weinstein's not the only one. The realization of people that have been given awards, that people love and trust, have stood up there and talked about how great the man was. He's God, said, what's her name, Meryl Streep? The same woman who cheered and stood for Roman Polanski, who gave a young 13-year-old girl Quaaludes and raped her. These are the people that have to come to grips with what's going on in their community. This isn't just Hollywood either, folks. We're talking about people that are friendly with the Democrats. President, First Lady Michelle Obama saying, Harvey, we could have done it without Harvey Weinstein, and the Weinsteins appearing with the Clintons at multiple engagements, making films that were pro-leftist, anti-Trump, anti-American, anti-military, anti-capitalist, anti-Catholic Church, you name it. And suddenly they got a rift. You know what you got? You got bragging rights. I told you. I knew exactly what you people were. Blah, 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 blah. You have told them. And they would, I don't want to hear you. What do you know? I know what I know. So now we get to blast them. They hate it. These are signs, folks. Kevin Spacey comes out. House of Cards. Go look at House of Cards. You see Kevin Spacey talking about the Clintons. He's excoriating the leftists, and he's one of them. Putting it in plain sight. Look at what these people create. Look at what Hollywood creates. You know what you see? You see Chicago PD. You see Gotham. You see all these shows about big cities and their problems. And then there's Middle America. Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons. It's not like watching Rich Housewives, is it? Of L.A. or New York or D.C. or the Potomac or whatever. No, the Waltons is wholesome. All these things that represent Middle America, wholesome. Go look at Chicago PD. Go look at Law and Order, based out of New York. Go look at NCIS. Where do they have them? Do they do NCIS in Patuxent? No. It's L.A., it's New York, it's, Baltimore, it's some big city. It's tough to make, some scandalous thing in Middle America. They try. Oh, she's a pot grower and, whatever, meth did this or that. No, it all goes back to the big cities. All these problems get sucked back into the vortex of leftism. Leftists hate it too. So we see it. It's the ugly underbelly came through WikiLeaks. It came through Hillary Clinton's emails. We've watched some of the most amazing crime that's happened in our lifetime happened right under our noses with the Clinton family. It's leading back up to the Obamas, you name it. These guys are scurrilous, and it's all the people in between. And it's all being run because of big money. They want that money, because with that money comes power. And let me tell you, folks, I go to New York. You know what I do? I go eat at a restaurant and I go, holy cow, every single time. It doesn't matter if I go to a little rinky-dink joint somewhere. I leave there going, holy cow, I could have eaten at a third the price where I live. I feel bad sometimes because I'm just constantly complaining. Holy cow! Oh wow! Ooh, Lord, look at here! And I take it personally. And here's the thing: I don't have the money's mine. But even if I want an expense account, I'd still be going, holy cow. It costs to go there. It's crazy. Fox is like, hey, Kev, we want you to come up and do some hits on, these shows. But, we got your travel and all that. I'm like, okay, great. Well, who's going to cover the $5,000 I got to spend in meals over 2 days? It's crazy. Anyway, I want to talk to you about we are seeing what's going on with the left. There's a shift that's happening. I've explained a little bit of it, but I want to play this clip from Saturday Night Live, let you hear it. It doesn't do as well without the visual, but you'll get it, and then we'll talk about it.
And now a message from the Democratic National Committee.
This Tuesday, Americans went to the polls.
And they told President Trump, we don't like what you're doing at all, sir.
And now one thing is clear. We're back, baby.
The Dems are back.
Estamos de vuelta.
You love us again.
And we haven't felt this confident since the day before Trump won.
You love our fresh new ideas delivered by fresh new faces like me, Nancy Pelosi. And me, Dianne Feinstein.
And me, Chuck Schumer.
Y yo soy Tim Kaine.
And I'm team player Donna Brazil.
And we also have some great new leaders waiting in the wings, like hot young thing Elizabeth Warren. And also, that's right,
it's Biden time. And I'm still around too.
and together we're going to end the spirit of divisiveness in this country by focusing on how we won the governor's races in 2 of the 10 states we care about. And we learned our lesson from the last election. We can't just appeal to coastal elites. We need mouth breathers from Wisconsin and window lickers from Ohio as well. And we know that what Americans really care about is jobs. Jobs like smuggling immigrants across the border and converting Confederate monuments into statues of prominent lesbian poets.
And we're really going to listen to people if they don't say what's politically correct. Like these comics out there who think it's okay to make jokes about concentration camps. That guy should rot in hell.
The Dems are back. And we won't stop now because we need another path for our country.
Another vision for America. Another chance for me, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Just one more chance. And maybe one more chance after that.
I thought she was dead.
We need bold leadership.
And new blood. I think the Hillary idea could still work.
This is our time.
Our time.
Yo soy Tim Kaine.
And just wait till Bernie transfers his base of passionate millennial voters over to a new leader.
No, if you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. Pass.
So watch out, America. Because the Dems are back. We're back.
We're back, baby.
Cuidado, Senor Trump.
Because the Dems are back.
I will destroy all of this.
This ad was paid for by Mark Cuban for Republican president.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So, needless to say, SNL, Saturday Night Live. That's a big sign of a big change that's happening. And unfortunately, we're going to have to cover it in 2 segments, but because I want to talk quite a bit about this. But remember when the media in Hollywood actually tried to fix the election from the fake news of CNN to the silly antics of Saturday Night Live? That, to me, is worse than anything that we've talked about doing, with the Russians and all that. It's worse. Because it's one thing for the media. They say, oh, we're going to tie you to Russia and all that. Okay, I get it. But we have people that come on TV every week, and without any balance of thought, they just get to go rank on, in the case of Donald Trump, they rank on he became the candidate, but even before that, they ranked on him a little bit. After he became the candidate, it really got bad. So that's what we had. Saturday Night Live doing, in my opinion, worse than the media, because people pay attention to that, and that tongue-in-cheek comedy is the way people really get ingrained to concepts. And the left do a great job of that. So I want to focus on that when we come back. Short break.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson talking about Saturday Night Live mocking the Democrats. Mocking the Democrats. I played a clip. They talked about fresh faces, fresh ideas, fresh faces, as they showed Weinstein, Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Fresh ideas, new leaders. They said Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders. They talked about, we're going to cure the divisiveness. Saturday Night Live even knows that the divisiveness comes from the left. And all this is predicated on the fact that the Democrats won 2 governors' races, and now they're like, woo, look at us. We're a big deal. We're coming back. 2 governors' races they were supposed to win, and they're back. Then they went on to mock them for saying, yeah, the Democrats have great ideas. Transporting illegals is a new way to do jobs. Converting Confederate monuments into monuments honoring lesbian poets is a new one. And also political correctness. They mock that. Folks, these are signs that things are changing. I don't know to what. Alec Baldwin built a second career on Saturday Night Live with his lame butt version of candidate Donald Trump. And regardless of the hack act that he did, the fact that Trump got elected president negated any notion of the Dems' actual enjoyment of Alec Baldwin's act. How can you enjoy the act of a guy who you think is never going to be president, and suddenly he's president, and you got to eat crow? I love it. But week after week, SNL attempted to lampoon the president and baited him into rants, and it didn't work. He would say things like, Alec Baldwin, geez, Saturday Night Live, that's the best you can do. No, not funny anymore. Donald Trump can laugh at himself. If you want to tell a joke about Trump that makes him laugh, he'll laugh. You can tell he's not a guy that's easily amused. But if you want to do something where he legitimately is doing, you want to make fun, I think the guy would have a hearty laugh. That would be my goal, is to make the dude laugh. And generally, let me just say this. When Hollywood goes after you the way they've done President Trump, you're doomed. Doesn't matter what you try to do with your president. George Bush. Look at Bush. I mean, he is a terrible president. But I'm saying, if Bush were performing like Trump today, he would crash and burn, because they would lampoon him and he would allow them to buy into it. He wouldn't fight back. He'd try to supposedly take the high road. We've learned of Bush that the high road is not exactly as high as he'd like it to be. But he couldn't handle it. So we've got a president now who fights back. And another problem that Hollywood has is we've exposed them. The land of look the other way on Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, and many more to come has now lost its credibility. See, the old Hollywood could say something and people would be, oh, they're stars, we must listen. No, what you see now is, it's probably a dude that's going to be in jail in a week for running a pedophile ring. So now, in order to survive, the left is apparently having to make a shift. And I understand the left quite well. You know that in order for them to have made that clip of Saturday, what we just played in the previous segment, in order for them to have done that, there has to be a shift in a paradigm somewhere. The Daily Beast reported SNL shifted its attack this week. For all the times Donald Trump has criticized Saturday Night Live for being biased against him, he's probably going to have to love the political commercial parody that aired this week. We're back, baby, Cecily Strong's Dianne Feinstein declared in the ad, which also included such elderly party members as congressional leaders Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and team player, in quotes, Donna Brazile. Instead of just focusing on coastal elites, they promised to appeal to mouth breathers in places like Wisconsin. For those of you who didn't catch that, didn't understand what a mouth breather was when we played the clip earlier, well, that's a stupid person. Think about how you're like breathing through your mouth. dummy. So even when they're mocking the Democrats, they managed to get in a slam to the people of Wisconsin. I think they called them mouth breathers. And then they called the people of Ohio window lickers. So they can't just let you get away with it pure and simple. They got to get you a little bit. But regardless, they still attack the Democrats. I put a tweet out about President Trump, and I said this. President Obama, it was something along the lines of this. I'm not exactly sure, but it was something along the lines of President Obama sure knew how to act presidential. President Trump knows how to perform presidential. And I was putting that out to all the never Trumpers and the naysayers about President Trump who say things like, well, he's too stupid to do this or he's too that. I'm like, really? So the guy that the Chinese call Uncle Trump, and with affection, by the way, and who the world seems to love, is a pariah in his hometown because of the left? Yeah, I think something's happening, folks. Suddenly, people are beginning to see that maybe Barack Obama wasn't the smart guy that everybody thought he was. President Trump, when he gets things done, it benefits America. And I think the left realized this. And the fact that SNL turned its questionable wit in the direction of Democrats is significant, if you ask me. I've talked about what President Trump's doing right now, traveling to Asia, trying to get rid of a $547 billion trade imbalance, and to put short and fat on notice. That's Kim Jong-un. And Saturday Night Live found nothing to lampoon. Think about it. What a setup. He called the leader of North Korea fat and short and fat. Excuse me. Short and fat. And the left could find that would be, normally they'd be talking about how unpresidential that is. And of course, the president couched it in the way of saying, hey, he called me old and I wouldn't dare call him short and fat, which of course is him calling him short and fat. And the left knows this. It's ripe for comedic humor, and none of them took it. I haven't seen them. That's the biggest complaint by the left. He's not presidential. He's a terrible person. He's not. Okay, he may be all that, but you didn't say anything about him. Saturday Night Live, who's been spending week after week with Alec Baldwin lampooning the guy. He's not presidential. Look, he called him short and fat. And they didn't say anything. I'm just wondering what's up. I mean, instead, Saturday Night Live lampooned the new, very old version of the Democrats. How's that even possible? Do you have any idea the level of permission Saturday Night Live comedians need to dump on the Democrats instead of dumping on Trump? That goes all the way up to Obama. And speaking of him, what influence does the deep state swamp rat of Obama, what does he wield over the American public, the American politics anymore? I say Obama is as relevant as the average DC cabbie. His opinions mean nothing. For the guy who set up shop in DC, hired Valerie Jarrett to head his new operation, his anti-Trump operation, what do they have to show for it? They have a busted investigation, a flawed, busted investigation around the Russians. And President Trump, every single day, exposes Obama as the biggest fraud perpetrated on American society since Social Security. And for doubters, remember what Obama said, that Trump was going to need a magic wand for carrier? Do I need to remind you? That was just the beginning of the embarrassment of Barack Obama by President Trump. The economy soars, record-breaking stock market. How many records have we broken now? Like 54, 55? Lowest unemployment rate in decades. Soaring computer confidence. America will have its AAA bond back within a year. We will have more money circulating through this economy. We have the biggest GDP growth in the first 2 quarters. Barack Obama never got to 3 in GDP growth. They're talking about 4 and 5, and Trump's done it twice. GDP growth twice over 3. What are you talking about? I know what I'm talking about. So when Barack Obama had the nerve to call Trump a BSer, a while back. You remember that? Called him a BSer. Well, we know who the BSers are. Look, I don't care. You look, go connect the dots. Go look at the people that were anti-Trump and see where they are now. And then remember, Saturday Night Live, who's been lampooning Trump week after week, month after month, just went after the Democrats. I got to leave it there.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.